Documentary cinema is often called a mirror of reality. But this mirror is alive. It shifts, it reacts, it bends with time. For more than a century, documentary films have reflected not only events, but how societies understand themselves. This is the story of how documentary cinema learned to observe, persuade, argue, and empathize, and how revolutions, wars, and crises reshaped the documentary gaze in return. At the end of the 19th century, the world accelerated. Factories, electric light, crowded city, modern life unfolded at an unprecedented speed. Cinema emerged as a machine capable of freezing time, replaying life, and tuning a fleeting moment into shared experience. Earlier Russian chronicles relied primarily on the long shot, allowing the viewer to read historical truth within the real mise-en-scène. In footage of the last Romanovs, a striking contrast appears. The masses are shown either moving before the immobile Tsar or freezing as the monarch passed by. This difference in movement underscores the gulf between the people and the dynasty. At the same time, ceremonial pathos is softened by an almost chamber-like tone, largely due to the constant presence of the heir beside Nicholas II. These chronicles did not interpret reality, they simply captured it. But beneath this apparent neutrality was a world on the brink of catastrophe. Europe approaching World War I and Russia nearing revolution. From this moment on, every major historical event demanded an image. After the revolution, documentary cinema assumed a new role. It's no longer merely recorded life. It explained, shaped, and constructed it. Filmmakers sought to convey the dynamics of the era. Russia seemed to have broken loose and rushed toward the future. Moving masses crossed the frame, and the individual became part of the larger historical flow. Cameramen such as Novitsky, Tissot, and Levitsky saturated their footage with movement and deep space composition. They conveyed the speed through lower angles and the force of attack through diagonal compositions. Shooting in motion from trains, steamships, and tanks became common. Dziga Vertov's film journals and later his Men with a Movie Camera were not just films but manifestos. From montage, rhythm, and bold camera angles, Vertov created a new documentary language, built on contrast and sharp juxtaposition. Dissonance became his poetic device. He showed life not as it is, but life as symbol and as ideal. If Vertov is often called father of Soviet documentary, as Phil Shub can be seen as its mother. By developing compilation filmmaking and new archival methods, she legitimized documentary montage as a fully authorial act. Her films, The Fall of Romanov Dynasty, The Great Road, and Lev Tolstoy redefined historical cinema. For Shub, the key unit was not the isolated shot, but the complex screen fact, a concrete historical reality revealed through editing. The documentary cinema of the 1920s was broader than Vertov-Shub opposition. Filmmakers as Vladimir Yerofeev, Ilya Kopalin, Mikhail Kaufman, Vladimir Tyurin, Yakov Blyoch, and Mikhail Kalatozov together shaped a multifaceted new form. Reality was no longer merely sensed, it was interpreted. Montage dismantled life and reassembled it through meaning. By the 1930s, as fascism rose in Europe and Stalin's regime tightened control, documentary cinema increasingly became a stage for national myth. The screen spoke with the voice of the state. The goal was to construct an image of an ideal world. Factories, hydroelectric stations, monumental construction, fragments of the future invading the present. A canonical visual language emerged, becoming the unmistakable signature of the era. The arrival of the sound shifted priorities. Meaning moved inward, from the cut between shots to the composition within the frame. World War II transformed documentary cinema once again. It became both witness and participant. For the first time, the world learned about war through moving images. Films by Roman Carmen and other war correspondents were far from neutral. Through editing and emotional emphasis, raw footage turned into narratives of resistance and survival. The human face became central. Handheld cameras replaced tripods. Reality lost its monumental calm and became a sequence of singular, unpredictable moments. After the war, these images became evidence, used in international tribunals and shaping global memory. Documentary entered the realm of justice. In the post-war years, an informational paradox emerged. Reality appeared stable, prosperous, conflict-free, and therefore false. Prosperity had to be visually confirmed through enumeration. Loaves of wheat, cars, milk, steel, monumental buildings and palaces filled the frame. Television was born as a new system for modeling reality. After Stalin's death, the so-called thaw opened new possibilities. Censorship softened, and society began to rethink its past. Chronicle fixation gave way to analysis. Filmmakers no longer sought merely to record events, but to understand life itself. Internal montage, meaning created within the frame, became dominant. Past was interpreted through the prism of contemporary problems, combining historical journalism, lyrical memory, and essayistic reflection. A new historical mode of rethinking emerged. In the 1960s, the past entered the present, giving everyday life historical depth. Facts were seen not in isolation, but through their connections and associations. By the 1980s, profound social change demanded new screen language. Filmmakers abandoned passive observation in favor of an assertive position. This was vividly demonstrated in the Eastern Siberia Special Report, writing Khayyam keeping BAM in mind, which exposed the repetition of past mistakes in large-scale construction projects. Films such as July Snow of Urengoy, Tom, a drama with an open ending, and The Weekend on the Caspian combined journalistic urgency with deep investigation. Documentary cinema became polyphonic and dialogical. Facts acquired a new screen dimension – time. In the 1990s, reportage shifted from detail to metaphor. Real people increasingly appeared as symbolic figures. In The Lord of the Fly, the protagonist transforms from a character into a daemonic figure through visual metaphor. Viktor Kosakovsky, by contrast, reveals philosophical stature through everyday screens. In The Beloved, The Dance Without Music becomes a final plastic metaphor of life and fate. The 21st century brought global chaos and global connectivity. Wars, migration, financial crisis, and pandemics unfold in real time across countless screens. We no longer watch the world, we scroll through it. In this media-saturated environment, documentary cinema shifts again, from grand narratives to deeply personal stories. Vitaly Mansky explores memory and national identity. Anton's Right Here examines life with autism. Marina Razbeshkina's school develops the aesthetic of horizontal cinema, intimacy of gaze, rejection of voiceover and music, and trust in visual storytelling. Today, documentary is no longer about the world out there, it is about the world within. In just over a century, documentary cinema has repeatedly transformed its forms and mission, from chronicle witness to ideologue, from war correspondent to philosopher, from investigative truth-teller to reflective mirror. Documentary cinema is a way of seeing, a way shaped by history, technology, and human experience. This is not the world, this is how we make sense of it.